No taxation without representation. 200 years of exploitation in the capital of this nation. No representation in the capital of this nation. 200 years of exploitation. Give the people their right to vote. Someone asked me, was it true? The voting rights of the district were long overdue. They couldn't believe it when I said yes. And then I said, you ain't heard nothing yet. We are based in Washington, D.C., a truly diverse community. Almost 600,000 strong. Have been exploited much too long. Inadequate power over our own affairs and national issues for which we care. No votes in Congress, the Senate, the House. No state delegation, no representation. We pledge allegiance, my country, 'tis a plea. Fight in wars, pay taxes in this country. Provide work and services for the government. We get no vote, but our money is spent. Well, you may wonder how in the world can this be? I thought we lived in a democracy where the U.S. Constitution gives equal protection. Check the 14th Amendment to make this connection. No taxation without representation. 200 years of exploitation in the capital of this nation. Oh well, no representation in the capital of this nation. 200 years of exploitation. Give the people their right to vote. In 1787, the U.S. Constitution was ratified. U.S. Congress won the power to exclusively exercise, in all cases, legislation over the future capital of this nation. In 1790, selection of the district sites began, using a piece of Virginia and a piece of Maryland, forming the District of Columbia or Washington, D.C. But the people kept on voting in their former states, you see. In 1800, Congress took control of D.C., ended representation for the whole community. In the history of this country, you will find the reason why, and even in the new millennium, they want this law to apply. In 1846, the portion of D.C. from Virginia decided to retrocede. It was returned to the original state line. Alexandria and Arlington County came after this time. In 1871, an elected delegate with no vote was created for the House of Representatives. No joke. D.C. was given territorial government that year. Representation remained, and history do you hear? In 1874, financial troubles arise. The position of non-voting delegate meets its demise. The territorial government that was given to D.C. was taken back by Congress at this point of history. In 1970, the House took the position back. Years of civil rights activism brought pressure with no slack. A step in the right direction brought the people so much joy, and the man in this position was Walter Fauntleroy. In 1978, Congress finally said okay to the D.C. Voting Rights Act, but not right away. If approved within 7 years with no hesitation, D.C. would be granted full representation. In 1985, our hopes were really, really high. We knew that they should not let this bill die. All we needed was approval of 38 states, but only 16 states would support our candor.
Exploitation continues.
In 1993, the district made a giant step. Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton worked hard to get a D.C. vote on the House floor, which Congress did approve. But when Republicans came to power, the decision was overruled. Now I'm sure you're wondering what can be done. There are at least 4 ways that this fight can be won. Some suggest we retrocede as a part of Maryland, become a city or a county, and that state once again. Or a new law could pass with a congressional vote, but DC residents would be counted in the Maryland vote for federal elections in Kentucky without retroceding back. This would leave our residency intact, or Congress could pass another law for DC, like they did in 1800 when they took over totally. For more than 500 reasons, they treat us like a state, and adding another reason should not a problem create. This would give us 2 U.S. Senate seats, and the census would determine the number of House seats. Preferably D.C. would be the 51st state. We have a seat in the House and 2 in the Senate. It's not too late. Democracy is what we want. Voting rights are what we need. Tell your congressperson it's time to take heed. Democracy is what we want. Voting rights are what we need. Tell your congressperson it's time to take heed. No taxation without representation. 200 years of exploitation in the capital of this nation. No representation in the capital of this nation. 200 years of exploitation. Give the people their right to vote. Give the people their right to vote. Give the people their right to vote. Give the people their right to vote.